to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Girl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Well, this has been a really, really hard week. I am not going to lie. Every time I have to listen to parents and children beg for the opportunity to receive and seek the necessary care that they require hurts my heart. But I'm not going to start there. I'm going to end there. What's going on at the State House? I mean, because, you know, there's always some clownery going on over there. So we'll just go ahead and talk about it. The Indiana Chronicle reports a bill originally focused on school building closures was transformed Wednesday to primarily provide Indiana charter schools with access to more state and local funding. Lawmakers in the House Education Committee adopted the sweeping amendment to Senate Bill 391 along party lines and with mixed opinions from Hoosier parents and education advocates. Republicans supported the changes, and of course, Democrats opposed. The latest version of the bill would sunset Indiana's existing dollar law, which requires public school districts to sell or lease vacant or unused instructional buildings for a single dollar to public charter schools. All right, I'm going to stop right there because they thought this was a good idea when we were talking about Lake County, Marion County, Vanderburgh County, St. Joe County, and Allen County. But when there was a vacant school in Carmel up in Hamilton County, they shut that down. Oh, no. See, I need y'all to understand. They had a whole dollar law, and somehow or another, the more affluent areas of our state were exempt from the dollar law. So was there really a dollar law? Was there really? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? So anyway, the change, an about-face from years of GOP support, was embraced by traditional public school officials who maintain that local school boards should retain authority to decide what to do with their buildings, especially because local districts are the original financiers. I mean, the idea that a school district has financed a multi-million-dollar building, and because, you know, people aren't having as many children, or there's a dwindling population, that they have to take that building that they have spent millions on and sell it for $1 was ludicrous anyway. It was a slap in the face to taxpayers of those buildings anyway. But okay. But another provision in the bill seeking to force school districts to share referendum funding with charter schools drew pushback from traditional school officials. They argued that charters are not entitled to funding from local property tax payers because those schools generally do not have the same expenses as their traditional public counterparts. Charter school proponents praise the move, however. Advocates for the alternative public schools have ramped up lobbying during the legislative session in an effort to equalize charter funding and ensure that students in those schools receive the same amount of dollars as students who attend district schools. The amended bill requires school districts in Lake County, Marion County, St. Joe, and Vanderburgh counties, where a majority of the state's charter schools are, to provide a pro-rata share of the operating or school safety referendum adopted after June 30th with area charters. In other counties, sharing those funds would remain optional. Okay, so why is it then that Lake County, Marion County, St. Joe County, and Vanderburgh County are being singled out of the 92 counties? The other 88 counties don't have to adhere to it. See, again, they are targeting specific communities, y'all. And if y'all don't see the writing on the wall, I don't know what to tell you. Bottom line is public school dollars should go to public schools. I understand that there are charter schools that benefit a certain segment of kids, but when the vast majority, over 90% of our kids are in public schools, why are you finding more ways to defund public education? I'm not understanding that. I'm going to need y'all to make that make sense. And why do you need multiple systems of education anyway? That has always been my problem. Why can't all schools have the same level of education? If you have a student that needs a smaller class size, then carve that out in your public school system. You don't have to create a whole new school system to accommodate all students, especially when we're talking about less than 10%. I'm just saying. I'm certain there's a way that they can accommodate that. I have a problem with my tax dollars going to charter and for-profit schools, but hey, y'all work that out. WTHR reports Senate Bill 284 would create a 3-member board of prosecutors to investigate claims that another prosecutor was not enforcing the law. Only 2 members of the board could be from the same political party, which is not a bad idea, but board members would be from different areas of the state and have at least 12 years of experience. It's a nonpartisan, it's seasoned prosecutors, Freeman explained. He claims he didn't have in mind any specific Indiana prosecutor. But he did, he did. The issue to me is not about one person. The issue, I think, is a nationwide problem and something that's coming to an Indiana county near you. When the Senate debated the bill earlier this session, Marion County came up in the discussion. No, really? Oh my God, I'm surprised. In 2019, Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears announced his office would no longer prosecute people for possessing under 30 grams of marijuana. Yay, especially since there are people making millions of dollars all over the country off of marijuana. Why are we locking people up? Oh wait, wealthy white folks can make money. Poor black people got to go to jail. Okay, I get it. Earlier this month, Mears spoke to 13 News about the proposed law that could result in questions about the stance. I think the reality is that the protections you see with 3 prosecutors serving on a panel and going before a judge is designed to protect the good old boy network to try and make sure the status quo is maintained, Mears said, explaining at the time that his office had 150 pending cases involving marijuana possession, not sale or distribution, just possession, but said it wasn't the main priority. See, again, y'all, our prosecutor, who is very progressive, understands that criminal justice reform has to start with the legalization and decriminalization of cannabis. Why are we locking people up for smoking weed when there literally are dispensaries making millions of dollars off of weed, but in Indiana, you can get locked up? But that's Indiana for you. That's Indiana. The Indy Star reports the Indiana House Committee narrowly advanced a measure Wednesday seeking to expand judges' ability to withhold bail from people they have clear and convincing evidence should be considered dangerous. Huh? Okay, all right. Senate Joint Resolution 1, authored by Senator Eric Koch of Bedford, would put on the ballot a constitutional amendment giving judges the power to deny bail to any offender who could pose a substantial risk to the community if not held in jail. The clear and convincing evidence clause was added in response to concerns that the original language was too vague. Current state law allows only people facing murder or treason charges to be refused bail, but the resolution would allow people charged with any offense, including misdemeanor, also including marijuana possession, to be stripped of their right. Koch said the constitutional amendment would promote a greater sense of public safety. No, it wouldn't. Depends on who you ask. However, opponents have repeatedly asked for more specifics in the legislation. They employed lawmakers to slow down to think about how the proposal could put more people in already overpacked jails, violate due process, and disproportionately impact and affect black people. But they already know that, y'all. They already know that they're going after black and brown people. It's just evident and it's obvious. So not only are we creating a 3-member panel of prosecutors to go after prosecutors who are prioritizing their workload, which best suits their office, which means marijuana possession when you can literally go right next door, just to the west of us, and get all the weed and CBD and whatever you want. Walk into a legitimate place and get it. Indiana, get on the stick, because we are falling way behind. And we don't have enough teachers. We don't have enough librarians. We've already tried to criminalize them, turn them into felons. Now you can't even smoke a little weed, have a little gummy without a 3-person mandate. And now the judge might be able to, deny bail. All of this is compounding, y'all. They have all these prisons and with nobody in the jails. They want you in jail. Oh, what? What you mean, Dana? Surely these Republicans don't want us to all go to jail. Yes, they do. Prove me wrong. Don't believe what they say, believe what they write. The policies they present. I'm just saying. Y'all can pretend like it ain't happening if you want to. Because, this particular supermajority, all they want to do is harass and harangue already marginalized communities. As you all know, as we are saddened to hear, and we witnessed, I know I did with a heavy heart, this week, SB 480, which prohibits family and doctors from providing age-appropriate evidence-based care for youth who require it, by banning nearly all forms of science-based care available to trans youth. This bill would forcibly deprive some youth of life-saving care that they already receive. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I listen to parents and young people talk about how this bill will directly harm them and their family, and they don't care, if I'm telling you, like, my kid needs this. We've already gone through all the steps, and at 17 years old, we're ready to pull the trigger on puberty blockers. Why is the State House saying we know better than what parents and doctors know about what you need for your kid? And that's what they've done. So SB 480 is part of a coordinated campaign to drive transgender people, particularly youth, out of the public life. But we ain't going nowhere. I'm not trans, but I'm gender nonconforming. So because I'm gender nonconforming, people confuse me with trans. So therefore, I'm standing up and fighting as loud as I possibly can. Bills such as these violate the rights of parents and families to make decisions about their children's health. Young people who are trans need support and affirmation, not to be political targets. The ACLU opposes any bill that takes away potentially life-saving care from trans youth. So on Saturday, April 1st, the ACLU is hosting a rally at the State House. Everything opens up. The doors open up at 10 a.m. and the rally will begin at 11 a.m. Go down there. We're going to rally against SB 480, a ban on gender-affirming care. And then we're also going to be rallying against HB 1608, which is the Don't Say Gay bill that includes forced outing, which is still on the move. So feel free to come down to the State House on Saturday from 10 a.m. for the rally. And then if you're in the Bloomington area on Sunday, In the Hate, Elevate and Celebrate Trans Joy is Sunday, April 2nd from 2 to 4 at the Monroe County Courthouse, downtown Bloomington. So y'all, there's an opportunity for everybody to get involved and be a part of trying to protect our trans youth, because apparently, I don't know why you want to harm people. If they looking you in the eye and they telling you this is not good for me and my mental health, and they don't care, then you're not looking out for all kids. You're just looking out for special kids or kids that are not like our kids. And the fact that you don't understand what intersex is and what that means, and you're passing bills thinking that all gender is binary, is ridiculous. So I'm gonna need everybody to go pick up a science book and look up intersex. I broke it down last week, but I need these folks to go do that. See, and then maybe you won't be so hard on transgender folk. Not all transgender people are intersex people. I understand that. But when you have the opportunity to do right by people instead of causing them harm, you should do it. All right. Indiana's own Dana Black, turn left. That is my rant. My heart is heavy, but I'm going to do better. All right. Today's show is brought to you by Bohm's Unique Boutique. Click on the QR code. And for all Turn Left listeners, you can get a 10% discount on your order by using the code Democrat. Be sure to visit www.bohmsuniqueboutique.com. So I'm still super excited at the fact that the Bohm's Unique Boutique is my first paid sponsor of the show. Yes, y'all give it up for Bohm's Unique Boutique. But candidates, I know you out there trying to work it and trying to do everything you can to win elections. Have you thought about your digital content? Have you thought about how you would want to have a PA system for your event? Holler at me. Scan the QR code. Reach out to me. I can create your digital content. I can help you MC your event. I can do a lot of different things for you. I do have a fee structure, but trust, know, and believe I'm giving Democrats an amazing discount, which will also be an in-kind donation. So please, scan the QRL or go to www.blackpearl-its.com and let me help you with your digital Content. All right. That's it. That's the rant. That's all the good stuff. And now we're going to talk to our wonderful guests. I am super duper excited because I have two return guests on this here last Thursday of Women's History Month. And you cannot ask for two more amazing women who are doing amazing things for their communities and standing up and being strong. First up, the current mayor who is running for re-election down in Charlestown, Indiana, one of my super sheroes. Y'all give it up for Treva Hodges, Mayor Treva Hodges. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dana. It's good to be on your show again. Always good to see you.
Always. And she is currently sitting on the Lawrence City Council. She has tossed her hat in the ring to be the next mayor. She wants to make history as the next mayor of Lawrence. Y'all give it up for Councilwoman and mayoral candidate for Lawrence, Indiana, Deb Whitfield. Deb, welcome to the show.
Good evening, and thanks for having me. And thanks for allowing me to meet a woman that is a mayor in a town that I can learn some pearls of wisdoms from her today.
Absolutely. And she is full of nuggets. And she does it with such a genuine flair. You're going to love her. All right, y'all. I broke down a whole lot of different bills and issues in my rant. Sometimes I like to reach back and say, was there anything about those pieces of legislation that have you worried, something that you want to comment on? Deb, I'll start with you. Is there something that you want I mean, I don't expect you to have the scholarly intake on any of that, but is there something that concerns you about any of those bills?
Well, yes, it does concern me being in healthcare for over 40 years and having the opportunity to serve in communities and patients from all walks of life. It is concerning, especially when you have young children identifying and want to seek healthcare the correct way.
Yeah.
And so that is concerning to me.
Yeah. Mayor?
Absolutely. I only recently had a message from a trans boy in our community who let me know that he's concerned about what's happening in the state where he lives, and he doesn't feel safe. And that's not something a mayor wants to hear. We don't ever want to hear that people living in our community feel unsafe for any reason. And certainly not because of just who they are.
Yeah. And you know what, Deb, you brought up something, and I want to touch back up on it again. You mentioned that you work in the medical profession. What type of work do you do over in the medical,
Well, in my early life, I was a clinical respiratory therapist.
Oh, okay.
And then from there, I went into diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay. So you see all kinds of things from a medical perspective. I would never ask you to out anybody or anything like that. But when you've talked to young folks about how, or even parents about not being able to make decisions about the direction that their child goes through, how does that make you feel, especially having worked in DEI and in healthcare?
It hurts me to my heart because I want to help fix things, make things better for them, and understand that when you talk about diversity is a fact, equality or equity is a choice, and inclusion is the action, and belonging is feeling the outcome. And so what outcome are we giving, or the choices that we're making for these individuals and for the family and the parents when they're searching for help? And then when you talk about the mental health awareness, how do we talk about stress and coping with decisions that are taken out of your control?
Yeah. Well, it's troublesome. And as someone who, like I said, I live in those spaces, I see they're trying to, lock more people up without bail. I mean, it's just so much. It's just so much that we all have to deal with. But let's take it back down to the local level. You guys will be running. Mayor, you already run a city, and Deb, you're looking to run a city. So, Mayor Treva, I'm going to start with you. Tell people who you are and where you come from.
I never intended to hold political office in my entire life. This wasn't something that I said I wanted to be when I grew up. But like a lot of folks that enter politics later in life, I got mad. You know, I saw things happening in our city that not only were unfair, but just went against what I thought our government should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran and I won, and that's history now, I guess. And so I've had 3 years, and I've decided I'm going to ask for another term, and I've had a blast serving the people of Charlestown. We've done some amazing things. We've done some things that no other mayor in Charlestown has been able to do, and I think that's important to look at. Record amounts of grants coming into my community because of our efforts. Records amounts of ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings happening as we grow, and just an overall sense of health. We've turned a lot of efforts towards developing residents as their whole person, as their whole families, and not just looking at the nuts and bolts of picking up trash and stuff. We're asking our folks, do you have the resources you need to thrive in our community? And if you don't, let us help you find them. And so it's a different mindset. It's a different model than what we're used to, but it's working. And I'm extremely excited for the opportunity to get to carry this on for another 4 years.
I love it. I love it. So what has been your greatest accomplishment since you've been mayor?
Oh, man, that's such a subjective question, really. I mean, you can always look at the numbers. I mean, I've brought in $24 million worth of grants in only 3 years. And when you look at the 25 years before I was mayor, they only got about 10 million. So, I mean, numbers wise, definitely a huge accomplishment. But for me, when you look at out of the numbers and you say, what is another major impact that I've had? I'm a historian. That's what I was doing, communication and history before I became Dr. Mayor, right? I find that there's been just this overwhelming effort in my administration to draw attention to people who might not have been in the forefront in the past. So we've been able to appoint a record number of women and minorities to our boards and our commissions, things that wasn't happening before. So now we have representation from people that live in the community, not just one little pool of people who live in the community. We've drawn attention to histories of indigenous populations that lived here before we did, before Charlestown became Charlestown. We've drawn attention to our local suffragette, Mary Garrett Hay, and her partner, and we have a memorial now on the square for her, and just drawing attention, and so that when people like the trans boy who felt comfortable enough contacting the mayor and emailing me and just saying, hey, I think that what we've done is we've created a welcoming environment where he knows he can reach out to me and say, this is who I am. This is what I'm worried about, and I need to know how to get help. And I just don't know that a lot of youth in his position would have felt comfortable doing that under other situations.
And so what was the one thing that you found to be the most challenging? Like, I mean, we could talk about how great everything is, but what was the thing that challenged you? But I want you to pick something that helped you grow.
Partisanship. I am the only Democrat office holder in the city of Charlestown. I have an entire Republican council and a Republican long-term clerk treasurer. And the thing that really was a challenge in the very beginning was breaking down those barriers and helping people see that the work that we're doing at the local level is not about political party. There are definitely things that from an ideological standpoint, I've been able to do differently that were not being done by the Republican mayor before me. Mm-hmm. But the big decisions that we're making, they're all for the benefit of the people. And that was a huge challenge because at first everything was about me being a Democrat. And um, I had to break through that. I had to and it just took some time and some persistence. It took an open-endedness on my part, into making sure that our hiring practices were fair
Mhm.
um, and growing as a person myself and realizing and reminding myself regularly that, yes, I was chosen to do this job, but I won by a very small margin. And even if the margin that I won by was huge, when you win an election, you're representing everybody, whether they voted for you or not.
Exactly.
So I think we've come a long way. Really, I think we have still a long way to go. But we have, I have a wonderful relationship with my clerk treasurer. We've been able to do a lot together, and I look at her guidance. She's been doing this for a long time, and she's very knowledgeable. It's great. I have a little more contentious relationship with some of the other elected officials that I have, that I have to work with, but try to go forward with patience and a little bit of a persistence as well. And just that constant focus on trying to keep the mood in the city as positive as possible, and just being willing to use argument as a way of working through things and not just always demanding that I get my way. And so I've grown as an office holder in these 3 years. I still have a way to go because I'm not done. If I was done, I wouldn't be running. But I think that there's a lot of benefits still to be gained from the vision that I bring to the city, but also my willingness to talk about the hard truths and to get to the meat of it all.
I love it. That's some good stuff. Those are some good nuggets. Deb, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Oh, wow. Well, a little bit about Deb Whitfield. I am a mother. I have been here in Lawrence for about 28 years. My late husband and I moved here. It was his job that brought us here, and fell in love with the Lawrence area, the school system. Both of my children have gone through the school system. Like I said, I work for a healthcare system, respiratory therapist, and then a DEI advocator, director. Really believe in the communities that we serve, trying to break barriers out here, and bring people to the table that may not have the opportunity before to be heard. There's a lot of things that are happening here in Lawrence that's exciting. Believe in public servant, just giving back, having that opportunity to give back. As you say, not everyone can do this job for the right reasons. Their own agenda. I don't have an agenda. I want to make sure that everyone has that opportunity. Maybe break some of that, Dana, what you said, that good old boy system. Having, as one of my favorite quotes from Shirley Chisholm is, if you're not at the table, bring up a chair. I want to bring that chair, and I want others to have the opportunity to bring that chair up, because not one person, one voice, is all of us that can make a difference.
Absolutely. So you've served quite a bit of time. Well, you've served 1 term or 2 terms on the council?
1 term. This is my first term.
So how do you think being on council will influence how you run the mayor's office?
Thank you. That's a great question. I think it has prepared me to actually be in that seat of mayor, understanding what the council is, a check and balance, understanding the budget, understanding that most of our budget is on our public safety, which is our first responders, understanding that if there's a need to be shifted, how you shift that, and how do you work with your council to make the betterment for the city that you're serving, the residents that you're serving. I think that building a opportunity to build trust and conversation, I think that's going to help me be a better mayor for the Lawrence city.
And so you'll get a chance to pick your own controller, won't you?
So we're going to go down that lane. I think I do.
Now, I know how difficult that situation was. I mean, I'm not going, we don't have to go into details, but I know that transparency is like a big thing. Talk about the importance of having a transparent executive office, not the stuff that you guys were fighting a couple years ago.
Yes, well, as I talk and go around to the communities in Lawrence, I talk about the 3 T's. My 3 T's are transparency, building trust, and then transitioning. I want to have an administration that's transparent. I love what Dr. Mayer said, that a young gentleman felt comfortable coming to speak to her about something that ordinarily maybe would not have felt safe. That's what I want to do in Lawrence. I think because of the job that I do in working in the communities, I want to be as transparent as possible, and our residents feel comfortable speaking to me and sharing their personal thoughts and what they see in the future of Lawrence. And then trust, going back, building neighborhoods, building that trust, that respect is very important. Someone that they can count on. And I want to do that in the neighborhoods that we serve. I want to bring certain neighborhoods that feel that they don't have a voice and have been overlooked lately in Lawrence. I've been, in my last year and a half, going to those neighborhoods, speaking with them. Sometimes I don't know the language, so I take someone with me to help, because that could be a barrier, but understanding and listening to them. And then transitioning. How do you take transparency and the trust that you have built and then formalize it into a transition? Because, we have some momentum out here in Lawrence. Mm-hmm. We don't want it to die. We want it to continue. And so I do talk about those 3 T's.
I love it. I love it. Indiana's own Dana Black, Turn Left. We are chatting with Councilwoman Deb Whitfield, who is running for mayor of Lawrence, and Dr. Mayor Treva Hodges of Charlestown. And guys, if you like anything that they're talking about, please, please, please feel free to click on their donate link. Their ActBlue links are right there in the information, because $5 goes a long way for these candidates. So if you could please help them out by supporting their campaign, click on the button, donate $5.10, make it a recurring donation. Do what you got to do to help these candidates out. All right, do what you got to do. Let's run another ad for Bohm's Unique Boutique. Today's show is brought to you by Bohm's Unique Boutique. Click on the QR code. And for all Turn Left listeners, you can get a 10% discount on your order by using the code Democrat. Be sure to visit www.bohmsuniqueboutique.com. All right. Indiana's own Dana Black, Turn Left. So guys, everybody has a platform. But I'm going to ask y'all something a little different, because y'all not new to this. Y'all true to this. You remember when you started your platform and you were running for office as mayor, and then you had to throw it out and start all over again? I know I did. I know when I ran for office, I was an angry lesbian. I was mad at RFRA. I wanted them to stop all the nonsense. They've been attacking my people for a long time. And then after I saw all the other things that were happening around the state, I started to focus in on education and infrastructure and all the other things that were happening. Talk about I like that, Dr. Mayer. I'm going with that. Dr. Mayer, talk about, Dr. Mayer, where you started. For you, it's going to be a little different. Where you started as a candidate who won your office, right? And what you thought you were going to work on versus what you are working on. And then, Deb, talk about how you started the campaign. But as you've gotten a chance to talk to your constituents, how has it changed how your platform? So Dr. Mayer T, we're going to start with you.
I'm reaching for my notebook because I want to show you.
Ain't nothing wrong with, get your notebook out. I have my notebook every week so I can write stuff down when people say good stuff, because my brain ain't that sharp.
So here's the thing. I want to go back to something that Deb said about having, people with agendas, because I'm going to disagree with you, Dana, and I'm going to say that not everybody has a platform. A lot of people that step into these races, that's all they have is an agenda.
Okay.
They do not have a platform. That's what I'm facing. My opponent this year, she didn't have a platform. The only 3 things that she's listed on her platform are the exact 3 things I'm already doing. She has an agenda, and it's a partisan agenda, and I'm tired of that. And here's the thing: the transparency trust idea, beautiful, perfect. That's exactly what we need right now. When I ran the first time, I listened to what people were saying. I heard what my fellow citizens were upset about. I knew what I was upset about. And that transparency and lack of transparency, lack of trust, those were the big things. Because let me tell you what, you can figure out how to budget. You can figure out how to make sure that people's trash gets picked up. I've learned more about wastewater than you would believe as mayor. Okay. I can sign up for EPA trainings. I can go to conferences. I can do all those things. But reestablishing trust after years and years and years of not having it, that's the hard work. That's the hard work. And so you're off to a great start, Deb, already. I'll tell you that. And if you listen to what people are saying and you're committed to transparency, it's hard being transparent. We live stream all our meetings. My cell phone number is out there and available. I attend all the functions with people. I let people send me private messages on Facebook and I respond to them because that's what transparency means to me. I'm in a small town and people want to know that their mayor is accessible and I am that. That is generating the trust. It's hard, okay? Because that means you've got to listen to the things that you like that people say to you and the stuff that you don't want to hear. Got to accept the critical feedback and you've got to do something with it, not just shut it aside. But because I lived in a community where there was no transparency for so long and lack of trust, I had a lot of apathetic voters out there now. People have been ignored for so long or tromped on for so long that they just feel like, I don't matter. And so we got to revive them. But when it comes to platforms, the reason that I've been successful, and we'll show you in my notebook why, is because I listened to what people needed. I listened to what people were angry about. I turned that into my platform the first time. And then I printed that bad boy. And I put it in the back of my journals. And every day, I open my day by looking at my list to say, what do I need to work on? What did I promise people that I was going to do? And I don't know if you can see this, but there are check marks.
Yeah, I see the check marks.
And so in my 3 years, there's only one thing on this list, 2-page list that I wasn't able to do. And the reason I decided not to do it is because it ended up contextually not being the right thing to do at this time. And that was a creation of a parks board. And so I have checked off all the things I said I was going to do. And that led naturally of 3 years worth of listening to people and realizing what they needed, having listening sessions with my residents, being open, seeing their concerns, getting out in the field with them, going to their streets, going to their neighborhoods, riding with my sanitation workers to the landfill, all these kinds of things, being hands-on. That led to the platform that I have today. And it's not an agenda, it's a plan. Okay. And there's a difference between the two. And so I think Deb's on a great start listening to this. I think you just got to acknowledge and accept the difficulty of it. And you take the good with the bad.
I love it. Well, she set you up, Deb.
I know. Thank you, Dr. Mayor. Dana, I didn't come to this decision very lightly. I am a Christian, and so I was approached 3 times before I said yes. The last time I had to really think and pray and fast about the decision about this journey because my choice was not to, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to break some barriers here. And so once I felt that it was time, and that's one of my slogans, it's time. It's time for this new journey in my life. It's time for the new journey in Lawrence. And it's time that we come together and unite the city of Lawrence. And so in order to do that, I have to listen because I don't have all the answers, right? I love that you have that. I didn't know that, but I have all my listenings in a note too that I type up and I go down and I read every day to see that as I'm talking to people that I am connecting with what someone else that may have brought up. And I let them know that you're not the first one that has said that. And I keep hearing it over and over again. And so that is very important to me, is understanding this journey. So thank you for acknowledging, because it is a journey, isn't it? My platform or the agenda, what I want to do is unite Lawrence. It's time. We have great momentum going out here, but I want to make sure that as a representative of the Lawrence residents, that I address their top 3 or 4 needs that they have identified, right? And how do you do that when you have to get out there and find those answers? It's not what I think, it's what their needs are. And I think that's what's important. So it's about neighborhoods to me, public safeties, expanding new jobs out here. I hate to use the word salesperson, but be the advocate for Lawrence. Be proud to talk about Lawrence and what we have here and what we want to build out here in Lawrence. So yes, that's my platform agenda or the journey that I want to take.
I love it. And I think that you guys, the fact that you have your checklist means that you have really taken what people have said to you so that you don't forget, and you write them down so that you can figure out how best to solve the issue. I mean, because I think, in my opinion, I never want to be in an executive level. I always want to be like in the legislative branch, because then I'm one of many, right? Yes, I'm a punk, I'm a chicken. I don't want to be the top dog. I just want to be one of the pack, right? But when you are the top dog, like, the buck stops with you. When everything goes great, everybody else gets the credit. And when everything goes bad, you get the blame. Talk about your leadership styles and how, you're able to, Dr. Mayer, how you were able to bring in this nonpartisan and work across the aisle. And Deb, what is your leadership style and how you will cultivate your administration?
Oh, goodness.
See, I'm asking real questions today. My bad.
No, and I'm going to go real academic with you real quick, because
okay. Come on, Dr. M.
Let's go back to women and gender studies, 400 level stuff, So women in our communities are raised differently, and more specifically, femme people are cultured differently. We're raised differently. Regardless of which community you come from, if you are a feminine presenting person, there are certain ways that you are viewed and certain ways that you are expected to perform. Dana, you hit it earlier about this concept of, people being so rigid about there's only two genders, and then the way that you hear people scream about it. And it's like, okay, well then let's sit down and have real conversations about what that means. Because I was your stereotypical tomboy. I would rather have been under the car with my dad any day than in the kitchen trying to learn how to cook. And to this day, I don't cook. My husband cooks because I hate it. But when you are in a feminine presenting body and you're in this community, you are expected to do it all. Mm-hmm. How many women have you listened to, wives, mothers, other people, that there's just this cultural expectation. You play with the baby doll. You don't play with the monster trucks from the time you're little bitty, and it's something you're raised into being, to the point where the expectations on us are huge. And so you develop an ethic of care that is different than those who walk through the world in traditional heteromasculine form. Mm-hmm. Okay? You're not allowed ever to only think about yourself, because you are constantly worried about in my situation, my husband, my children, my now grandchildren, which is another topic. Your staff down the hall, the people at the grocery store, the person you park next to whom you might have inconvenienced. I mean, there's all these thoughts going through feminine brains. And this isn't something that's just biological, guys. This is something we're cultured into doing in the way that we're being. And so what does that translate to when you're in a leadership position? It translates to where you have that ethic of care, and it guides every decision you make. And so where women have been criticized in the past for being emotional leaders, I don't see that as a bad thing.
Right.
My ability to connect, my empathy, my ability to suspend judgment as a strength. And so I'm able to listen with caring ears and truly try to work towards finding solutions, whether that be staffing solutions, I've had to undo a lot of workplace like trauma culture from years and years and years of this hyper masculine power man thinking, and the way they used to run departments to a more ethical, care, empathetic approach, whether that's in the office and managing the city, or it's out talking to people or engaging with children in the community or listening to distressed parents or whatever it is. It's a different way of approaching leadership. And it's definitely not a bad way of approaching leadership. So women have a lot to bring, and I am so proud that Deb, that you are running, because we need women executives for this very reason.
I love it. Deb?
So my leadership style, if you know Deb Whitfield, you know that Deb's been in the community for the job that she does, doing healthcare screenings, breaking barriers, and getting people access to healthcare. My leadership style is going to be what Stephen Covey, I've taken a lot of his classes, says, seek first to understand. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to seek first to understand. I'm going to look through everything. I'm going to look for the answers. I'm also going to make sure that I have the right people around me that are dedicated, that are good at what they do, to help guide me also, because that's important. If you see me out and about in the community with the job that I do, I am a hands-on. I'm not a leader that's going to say, okay, this is what you do. You see me working right along with my staff. I am there every day with them, and I plan to do that as a mayor. Be right there with my staff out there, seeking to understand and building a very transparent administration.
I love it. I love it. So, Dr. Mayor, what is the population of Charlestown?
We have 8,900 right now.
8,900, and what is the population of Lawrence?
The sun is about to wind me out here.
It's all good. You bright. You can handle it.
The population of Lawrence is just a tad under 50,000.
Okay, so both of you are going to be Dr. Mayor, you are already running the city, and Deb, you have the opportunity to run a city. But in both cases, you guys, the cities that you're going to be running are sitting kind of in the shadows of larger cities. I'm not saying you're not shining, not saying that, but like you have Louisville to the south of you, and Jeffersonville and New Albany, which is actually a little bit bigger. And then obviously, Deb, you have Lawrence, which is sitting inside Marion County with Indianapolis. How do you work with those larger municipalities and collaborating? Because your needs are may be a little bit different than what the larger municipalities would need. What are your? I'm gonna start with you, Deb, so that Dr. Treva don't give you no answers. But talk about how you play, because I saw you actually got an endorsement from Mayor Hogsett, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So what would that relationship look like? I mean, because I know that we share some infrastructure stuff, but
yes.
How do you work with the larger city whom you sit with?
Well, that's a great question. And thank you for Mayor Joe for endorsing me out here in Lawrence. It's going to hopefully be a partnership. If I am blessed to win the election on May 2nd and November 7th, and take the office of mayor, it will be a partnership, understanding how we can come together, achieve some more dollars coming into Lawrence, whether it's for the street repairs. It'll be the first time in Lawrence that you would have a sitting Marion County Democrat and a Lawrence Democrat. So hopefully that partnership will align and help with different ideas, and also some opportunities that maybe we can embark and talk on with Mayor Joe, with the mayor or whomever the mayor may be. But again, just looking and understanding where that partnership and the collaboration can come from.
I love it. Mayor T?
Well, Charlestown's growing. And our closest neighbor kind of to the south is Jeffersonville. And one of the things that we share is the River Ridge Development area, the River Ridge Commerce Center. This is an old ammunition plant that comprised of 10,000 acres during World War II, and was kind of a scar on both of our communities for a long time as it went out of production. And now, since 2000, it's had a reuse authority, and in the 22 years that it's been operational, the Jeffersonville side has built up and almost built out, and so now that development is coming to the Charlestown end of the plant, and so we work together. And, it's a regional focus. And I think that that's something else that I bring that hasn't been brought before and wouldn't continue if I wasn't mayor. If I don't get elected, that idea of that regionalism is going to go away. And we benefit from that concept because, look, the folks, when they're driving around, they're not driving past Paul Garrett Road and saying, "Oh, I am no longer in the city of Charlestown." They're just like, "I'm going down here to Zaxby's, y'all." They're not thinking along those like extremely territorial lines. Not that we don't have city pride. Hey, go Pirates. We love Charlestown. And Jeffersonville loves Jeffersonville, and New Albany, like all that. We have great pride in our communities, but I give a story to kind of explain the way that I view Charlestown's position within the larger region and the state and those things. When my kids were very little, we loved to do puzzles.
Okay.
Had a big table over kind of on the side in the living room, and we'd put out puzzles. And in the evening we'd sit and kind of work on the puzzle. And you know how puzzles go; it takes you a while to get them done. Well, my kid's grandma brought back this puzzle from Amsterdam that was just insane. I mean, the colors on this thing were, when you're looking at a puzzle and you're kind of looking for the similar colors, like, ha. Right. No, this was impossible. Every single puzzle piece was exactly the same. It was a nightmare. It took us weeks to get this thing done, y'all. And I remember getting down to the end, and my son was so excited. He was about 8 years old. He's so excited about finishing this puzzle. And we'd already decided, we get this thing done, we are not undoing it. We are going to glue this thing together. We're going to put it on the wall. We're going to forever remember how hard we worked as a family to do this puzzle, right? So we get down, and we're down to like the last couple of pieces, and we're missing the last piece, and we're looking on the table, and we can't find it. And this piece is like right in the middle of the puzzle. There's nothing I can do. No. I can't cut off the edge or nothing. It is like in the middle of the puzzle. And I hear my son triumphantly under the table say, "I found it." And I'm like, "Okay." And he pulls it up. And our mini dachshund had been playing with the puzzle piece. And it was chewed beyond oblivion. And there was no way that puzzle piece was ever going to fit in that puzzle. And so the way I think about running Charlestown when it comes to that regional picture is we are all of us, people, communities, cities, counties, states, all the way up, vital pieces of that puzzle. And if one of us is out of sorts, then the whole puzzle's ruined.
Yeah, I can dig that. And I think about that when I think about what you're talking about when I think about how President Biden and Mitch McConnell and the mayor or the governor of Ohio, they were all on the Ohio side of the river talking about the bridges and the improvements. And I'm like, are y'all coming to Indiana? Because there's some bridges that need some help over here, too. I mean, could you come? Now, they put a toll road up. I mean, I guess that's progress. I have a problem with paying for a road twice. I really do. I have a problem. But I mean, it's those relationships with the communities around you. I mean, also, Deb, like you've got like Beech Grove that's like not that far, which is another smaller town within Marion County. I imagine there might be some opportunities to grow there. But what excites y'all most about the future of your cities, right? What wakes I know what wakes me up in the morning. What wakes me up in the morning is how can I elect more Democrats? And I do that every day, and I am excited about it, right? What excites you about your city, Deb?
The opportunity to continue the momentum that we have seen in the last 7 years and continuing that momentum, building partnerships, seeing the growth of the city, also understanding and talking to over across the railroad tracks and getting them to be excited and being inclusive and having their ideas. Just talking to the residents, I can't wait to get out there and knock on doors.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds funny for a lot of people, but I love knocking on doors.
Love it.
The thing is, don't walk with Deb when she's knocking on doors, because she'll stand there and talk to everybody. And sometimes they even invite me in and want to continue the conversation. I just like living and giving them that opportunity to be heard. Do you know that you don't know who you may touch that day when you give them that opportunity? They may be going through something that you don't even know of. Maybe someone in their family didn't wake up that day, or they're lonely, and then have someone knock and you listen. They will remember that. And then when you go back and knock again, oh, you were here. And they want to continue that conversation. So that excitement of building relationships in Lawrence and the momentum, that's what gets me up every day.
I love it. That's what I'm talking about. Come on, Dr. T.
Our people, we have some of the best people, and we are growing, and some people get a little nervous about that, but I'm committed to keeping those small town values that we have as we grow. And, the fact that you can find out how somebody's mom is doing in the produce section of our grocery store, it still means something. The fact that I get to have an impact on the lives of so many people and do good things and help solve their problems. And that, Deb, you're right. You don't know what kind of a day people are having. And sometimes something as simple as me and my husband running to the city garage on a Friday night at 8:00 because a resident forgot to ask for an extra trash can, and they're having their family reunion this weekend. And by golly, their trash can's full. They're going to need another one. And so we go and grab that trash can and toss it in the back of the truck and drive it to their home and drop it off so that they can have a little bit of peace. That's one thing they don't have to worry about during that family reunion, right? Something as little as that can have a huge impact. It's great to bring in the grants. It's great to help save the money. I've lowered taxes every year that I've been mayor. All those things matter. They provide a difference. But the thing that gets me up and keeps me going are our people.
I love it. Mm-hmm. And I would be remiss, y'all. I mean, it is the last Thursday of Women's History Month. Women, we're still lagging behind. I mean, we're over 51% of the population as a whole, and yet we're still woefully underrepresented at barely 20% of elected officials across the country and in the state. Talk about what it means. And you guys have been solid women doing amazing things for a long time, so it may not even resonate with you all the time, the impact and the importance of your representation in leadership positions. Talk about what it means to be a woman running for an executive level office. Both of you have won elections. Both of you know how to win. Right? You may not have won it as of yet as a mayor, but you know how to win an election. What does it mean as women to be in positions of leadership and influence and having the ability to shape entire communities?
I think about the little girls that see me and know that I'm mayor, and the look on their faces, because it becomes possible for them as well. In the same way that you saw little girls celebrating, young girls of color celebrating across the country when we have a Vice President Harris who steps into office, and they're like, what? You know, I see myself. So there are little girls in this community that see themselves now as potential mayors or potential leaders. There's two that I can think of in particular. My favorite story is when I was first mayor. A friend in the community brought his granddaughter into City Hall, and he's like, hey, I happen to know the mayor. Do you want to go up and see the mayor? And she was like, yeah, that's cool. Pawpaw, yeah. So he brings her up, and we kind of make her mayor for the day, and dope. I make her do an oath. I make her take an oath of office, that I made up on the spot and all that stuff. Well, this little girl's name was Eva, EVA. And as they were leaving, he called me up after and he said, "You're not going to believe this." And she was like 7 or 8 years old at the time. And he said that when they were leaving, going down the stairs, she said, "I'm going to be mayor someday." And he said, "You are?" And she said, "Yep. Because if you take the TR off of her name, you got Eva. I'm going to be mayor."
I love it. I mean, even in the name, it's inspiring.
Yes.
I love it. Come on, Deb, talk about it. Talk about the joy.
It is joy, and it brings tears to my eyes because I am setting an example for my daughter and my granddaughter. They are so excited to see me step out on faith and want to make a difference for women in general. And when my granddaughter wears her pearls and say, "Yaya, I'm coming to see you," when she says,
Yaya.
"I want to," yes, she says, "When I want to wear, I want a picture in your T-shirt," that just says to me, I'm doing the right thing, and that I'm setting an example for all women and children, and even young men too, to see, that the barriers can be broken.
I love it. There's so much that we can do to improve our communities, and sometimes it's just showing up. And I appreciate both of you all stepping out on faith, stepping out on courage, or stepping out on some BS, whatever it was that got you out here. I'm glad you're here. Indiana's own Dana Black. I am chatting with today on Turn Left, candidate for Lawrence Mayor, Councilwoman Deb Whitfield, and Mayor of Charlestown, Treva Hodges. Deb, tell the people where they can find you.
Thank you. My webpage is www.whitfieldforlawrence.com.
And do you have any events coming up that we should know about?
Yes, ma'am. We are on Saturday morning. We are going to be knocking doors in the Winding Ridge area. That's off of 56 and German Church Road. We'll be attending and knocking. I mean, I just can't imagine how many doors we're going to knock on Saturday, but any volunteers are willing to stop by and join us. All the information's on our webpage.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Mayor, since we've given you a whole special name, I'm stealing it from Deb. She called you Dr. Mayor. I'm going with Dr. Mayor. Tell the people where they can find you.
My website is just mayortreva.com, and I've got all my contact information there. I'm on all the socials. So I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm everywhere. And I have a good time making content and sharing with people. And as far as things that we've got going on, we are going to start door knocking next week. So if anybody that wants to sign up to help me with that, you can contact me there at mayortreva.com. And we'll have other things, stuffing envelopes and door hanger bags and other opportunities coming up. So always eager to have volunteers join and help us keep plugging right along. I've got a record of proven progress, and let's just keep working.
Absolutely. And as always, guys, if you like what these beautiful, beautiful candidates are talking about, please click on their donate link. If you get a chance, search them, click the link. And if you missed the live show and you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts, because that's where Black Pearl is, everywhere you listen to podcasts, go ahead and open up an ActBlue link and just type their names in, and you'll be able to search for them and donate to them via ActBlue. All right, guys. Listen, this weekend we're done with March. April Fool's Day is here tomorrow. Or is it Saturday? Saturday. All right. Stay out of trouble. Don't be pulling no pranks on me. I'm too old. My heart can't handle it. I've done too much devilment in my day, so I can't. No April Fool's jokes on me. But the April Fool's joke is really on that State House. I don't know if they think that they can silence the LGBTQ plus community. I don't think they can if they can beat us into submission. But we ain't going anywhere. And with people like Kit Malone out here fighting every day, I'm going to be by her side while she's out here, while Senator J.D. Ford is our only LGBTQ plus elected official in the state house, I'm standing by his side. But we have a host of allies like Senator Shelley Yoder, like Senator Fatty Cadora, like House Rep Porter, House Rep Senator Taylor, Senator Bro. I can name them all, right? They're all, Representative Pat Boyd, all of them. But they're not going to, they may have the votes, but they are not going to beat us into silence. They're not going to ban enough books that we can't learn about who we are. They're not going to be able to discredit our existence. All we're going to do is show the hypocrisy. Either you down with parental rights or you not down with parental rights. I'm going to need y'all to make up your mind because you can't seem to do it in the State House. All right, Indiana's own Dana Black, I promise you it'll get better. Because I believe it will get better when people like Councilwoman Deb Whitfield and Mayor Treva Hodges, things in Indiana will be better. We need to elect more people like this in all 92 counties, all the municipalities, people who care about the people that they represent. All right, Indiana's own Dana Black. I will holler at y'all next week. Peace. Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions. Executive producer, Indiana's own Dana Black. Music by www.bensound.com.